Hello there. Here are review movies, and today's film is Humane, a single-location horror film. In an overpopulated future where the governments of the world are culling 20% of their citizens, one elderly couple invites their family to dinner to reveal they're volunteering to die, and it causes a chain reaction that leads to murder, mayhem, and betrayal. Michael Sparaga wrote the story, and Caitlin Cronenberg directed the film. Peter Gallagher plays the father, and Jay Baruchel, Emily Hampshire, Sebastian Chacon, and Alana Bale play his children. Normally, I'd start with a film's positives and then address the negatives before giving a few personal thoughts and a rating. Today, I'm just going to put it bluntly. This film is at best a television quality version of Knock at the Cabin, and it really isn't worth watching if you have access to something better. Having said that, I'm going to go into what I think the film did poorly and then offer up what I might have done differently. There will be spoilers in this video, so click off now if you're worried about that sort of thing. What Humane wants to be is a psychological horror about a family being forced to choose who lives and dies. What we actually see is a group of strangers who hate one another choosing to murder their adopted brother with almost no provocation. They fail miserably for a while, and then he turns the tables on them for a bit, before they all wise up and go after the real villain, the government worker doing his job. He totally deserved it, but I can't believe it took them all getting stabbed repeatedly to realize that. The story fails on multiple fronts. Its characters suck and are irritating to spend time around. The dialogue is flat and lacks any real emotion, and it has no mystery to it. You know what's going to happen from start to finish because they telegraph every little thing they're about to do. There aren't even a lot of action or horror elements to distract you from the lackluster story. The film features a grand total of 2 deaths, and one of them is an old man dying peacefully in his bed. The other is a side character that gets shot in the back and never mentioned again. Everything else is the siblings swinging at each other with sharp objects and knives and cutting each other in superficial ways. They do it in the dark so that you can't even see it, and it's over before you even realize what's happening. Even when they do get a good stab into somebody, the film acts like it's nothing and they just keep trucking on. Even worse, the government workers who are supposed to be there to enforce this live execution never really come across as much of a threat. They don't physically harm the family, they make a lot of lame jokes, and most of their leaders' on-screen time is spent being bullied by a little girl. The cast struggles to make any of it work. Only Peter Gallagher manages to get any decent moments, and his character is killed off within the first 40 minutes. The rest of them try to give the story the gravity it deserves, but their characters are all vicious, selfish cowards that don't get to do anything cool. The only exception to this is Noah, played by Sebastian Chacon, and his character is a whiny do-gooder who spends the film begging his siblings to see reason and making stupid decisions at every single turn. The others spit venom at him for a while, and then there's a completely unearned turnaround in which each of them makes a miniature monologue in a pitch-black room. There's no big emotions from anyone, there's no charismatic moments, there's just a lot of banal bickering. It's truly insane how badly they shafted the cast here. The visual journey takes place in a single above-average suburban home and does very little with the space beyond basic conversations in dimly lit rooms. The few horror moments that occur also happen in the dark, don't come with any gore, and are over in a flash. The backgrounds aren't decorated either. It's just bare walls and basic furniture. It might as well be a rental house. Finally, the music is poorly put together. They only had basic instrumentals to work with, and those instrumentals only come in one flavor: eerie and tense. They use them non-stop to try and color the atmosphere of the film, and instead it ends up sounding incredibly bland and boring. When everything's tense, nothing is. Personally, if I was going to do a story like this, I'd start by creating a group of characters that you actually enjoy spending time around on some level. And then I'd introduce a terrifying threat that puts them between a rock and a hard place. That way, you actually care when they start trying to decide who lives and who dies. The threat actually could be something like the government agents, but they have to actually show off some force and make it clear that the family's options are getting shot in the head or killing someone else in the house. If you don't feel that pressure, this kind of story just doesn't work. I also wouldn't let the characters have a break from the external threat. Part of the tension is supposed to come from the idea that they have no choice in the matter. When they're constantly being observed, there's no break from the external threat, and attention will rise naturally from the strain being introduced. As for the setting, I'd like to see a lot more lighting across the board to make the house look more normal and less dramatic for the first part of the story, and then maybe introduce more shadows as the day turns to night. I wouldn't do scenes that were pitch black, especially when characters are emoting or monologuing. I also would film those knife fights between the siblings in a clearer and more impactful way. Give each swing a little bit more weight, and get a second cut of the other actor reacting to the swing. A tiny bit of makeup work and prosthetics would also go a long way here. For music, I'd introduce a few more tones to the emotional journey, such as sadness, regret, and anger, as well as try to give each of the characters a bit of a theme and mix them when they're interacting. In a story like this, you don't have much time to establish your characters, so every little bit you can do to distinguish them from each other means a lot. Overall, I think Humane did a poor job of telling its story. It doesn't seem like they had the budget to do what they really wanted to do, and the writing isn't very good. The visual journey has nothing to offer, and the soundtrack is one note repeating on a loop. If you like the premise for this film but want to watch a better version of it, go see Knock at the Cabin. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 2 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.